Hello, and welcome to Module 2, Teaching Vocabulary and Word Study in the Early Grades. There are a number of readings for Module 2. Within our course text, Bringing Words to Life, everyone is reading Chapters 2 and 4, and in Words Their Way, everyone is reading Chapter 3. In Chapters 4 to 8, you are going to have one person from your group read one of the chapters. So everyone will have one chapter to read. For those of you who only have 4 group members, you will need to have someone read 2 of the chapters or split one of the chapters between a couple of people. It's really up to you, but you do need to take care and make sure that you've read all 5 of those chapters. This will happen again next module. So if 2 of you were to split a chapter, then next module the other 2 could split the additional chapter. But if you have 5 people in your group, then it's 1 chapter per person for chapters 4 to 8. There's also some additional articles this time around, and there's a document within Module 2 that explains who should be reading those articles. So there are, I don't know, I think 8 different articles that you can choose from. Each member of your group needs to choose just one article, but they should be different articles amongst your group. So if there are 4 people in your group, there should be 4 articles chosen. If there are 5 people, there should be 5 articles chosen. That means that you won't read all of the articles that are offered to you. You have a choice of which one you're going to read. But this is all explained in that Module 2 readings document that's available to you. Also, those articles are available in the Module 2, or at least a link to them is available in Module 2. So same description for the group discussion board and synthesis. You post those individual responses to each of the questions, and then once everyone's posted, you work as a group to synthesize those responses into something more condensed. How you synthesize it is totally up to you, and you post it 2 times again, once to your small group discussion board and once to your whole group discussion board. The difference here is something that I'll talk about here on this next slide. So you'll be doing that synthesis for the course text, and then since each of you are going to be reading a different article, obviously only one person is able to synthesize, but based on the way that they synthesize it for your small group, you'll have to decide if you want to somehow condense those to give the whole class more information. So for Module 2, you as a group determine the next leader. It's totally up to you. You can keep going in alphabetical order if you want to, or if you had a conversation about people's schedules and already kind of know who that is, that's fine. But you should determine up front who the leader is so that they can keep group members on track, establish those deadlines, and all of that. So the questions for these readings, there are 3 main questions. How do we choose which words we teach? How do we introduce words to young children? And what is the teacher's role in vocabulary and word study? And then again, for those individual chapters and articles, each individual should write a brief synthesis sharing what the piece is about and why your group members might want to read it. So it's almost an advertisement, if you will, for the piece, but giving enough information to help them understand what you were reading about. Also, the articles themselves, as well as the extra chapters in Words Their Way, really do fall into the 3 questions that I've asked above. So you could also talk about them in there just as part of your synthesis, and just make sure you cite them so your group members understand where you're getting that information from. The other assignment for this module is the vocabulary project, the instructional resource chart. So keep in mind that there's a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 you're working on for Module 2, and part 2 you'll work on in Module 3. So what you're doing here is you're completing an instructional resource chart, and on the next slide I'll show you what that looks like. There's also a sample as well as the chart itself so that you can just use the template that has already been created in Module 2. So you'll complete this chart for vocabulary words using a student edition within a particular content area. So like science, math, or social studies, you choose one of those. And you're going to find the vocabulary words within that student edition. The template, like I said in the sample, is located on Module 2. And for Part 1, you're only completing the chart. The paper and the reflection that are mentioned in the syllabus will be part of Module 3. So you may want to keep some notes. You might want to look at the description of the paper and the reflection, just so you kind of have it in your head, because in Module 3, you'll be completing this chart again, but you'll be looking at either a middle or high school text. So there might be some things that kind of come up as you're looking through this elementary level text that you'll forget if you wait the month or whatever it is until you get to Module 3. But if you had some notes, might be helpful to you. I'm also going to let you choose to do this as a group project. There are a couple things I want you to consider. If you do it as a group project, it should be your entire group. So not like 3 of the 5 or something like that. It should be the entire group. So you'll need to come to consensus on that. If you decide to do it as a group project, it needs to be both Part 1 and 2 that are done as a group project. So it's not, well, we'll do Part 1 and then we're not going to do Part 2 together. So it should work together like that. So I see some advantages in doing this as a group project. Obviously, you can kind of break down, sort of divide and conquer how you're going to go about selecting the vocabulary. You can find a number of student editions of textbooks online. So if you did a little research and found a book that you could access online, then everyone would have access to it. Or if you wanted to, and just kind of take maybe 1 or 2 chapters from a student edition, and someone would be willing to scan that in as a PDF for the group, along with the glossary, because you'll need that, then that's an option too. So those are definitely some logistics you'll have to think through before you decide if you're going to do this as a group project or not. The paper itself, you can certainly write together. The reflection piece would also be something that you can write together. So this can definitely be fully a group project. It's just up to you. You don't even have to let me know until you turn it in. So you have some time to make that decision. So for the instructional resource chart, the blank template looks like this. So you'll just fill in vocabulary words from the student edition, and then you'll complete all of the components that are listed here. It's a little hard to see here, so you're probably just going to want to go into the module and find the template and the sample. I think it will make sense to you once you see it. But essentially, you're defining the word based on the glossary. You're also creating another sort of child-friendly definition, providing some examples of how we might use that word, and you can see how we go through this. So the sample chart has a number of samples for you. I will tell you that the sample also has some word cards and things like that at the end. You don't need to do that. You only need to complete the chart. Those were just resources that were with the particular text that was reviewed for this chart, so it's something that was included in there. But it's only the chart for Module 2 that you have to do. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I am going to be reaching out to you after this module just to check in on how the group discussions are going. It's the first time I've used this approach in my courses, and so I want to get some feedback from you to see how it could be improved, or if it is working well, or if it's not, you can tell me that too. So I'll be reaching out for that. And as we move forward, if you have any questions at all, just send me an email. I'm happy to chat with you. Take care.